Why did you choose him over me? Wangabore breaks down in front of Songyun. The hospital hallway was almost silent, save for the soft hum of the overhead lights and the occasional beep from the monitors behind closed doors. But for Wangabore, every second of silence roared in his ears like a storm. His hands were clenched, his back leaned against the white wall, eyes trained on the door he had once entered without hesitation. Room 305. Where she was. Songyun. But this time, something was different. This time, there was another man inside. The same man he once called a friend. Shukai. The build-up, emotions at a boiling point. Wangabore hadn't planned to come. He'd promised Shaozan he'd let it go, that he'd stay away, focus on healing, and finally close this chapter. But that promise broke the moment he saw the new CCTV footage that leaked online. Songyun, dazed and fragile, whispering a name she barely remembered. Shukai. It crushed him. Not because she remembered Shukai, but because she didn't even hesitate. Where was his name in her memory? Where was the boy who stayed by her side when no one else knew her truth? He paced outside the hospital until visiting hours had almost ended. He couldn't stop the tremble in his hands or the weight on his chest. Eventually, something inside him cracked. He pushed open the main doors and strode through the corridors, ignoring the stares and whispers of nurses. Inside room 305. Songyun lay still, her head gently bandaged, a light sheen of sweat on her forehead. Shukai sat by her side, holding her hand delicately, speaking in the softest voice, as if afraid the wrong word could shatter her all over again. She smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth twitching in response to Shukai's whispered story about a childhood memory she couldn't quite grasp. And then, her eyes caught someone behind him. Wangabore. Frozen in the doorway. Shukai turned slowly, instantly sensing the shift in air. His jaw tightened, but he didn't say anything. Wangabore didn't wait for an invitation. You said you'd never forget me. His voice cracked as he stepped forward. Shukai instinctively moved, standing between Wangabore and the bed. But Songyun sat up slightly, confused, fragile. Do I know you? She asked. Wangabore's heart split in half. He took a step forward, ignoring Shukai's warning glare. You do, he said quietly. Or at least, you did. There was a pause. I used to hold your hand through nightmares. You called me your anchor. You said. I made you feel safe when the world didn't. Her lips parted, but no words came. Shukai reached out protectively. Wangabore. No, Wangabore snapped, his voice louder than intended. You don't get to pretend this never happened. The room pulsed with silence. Flashback to what they were. She once clung to him on a rooftop, shivering in the rain, telling him she felt like a stranger in her own skin. And he just wrapped his arms around her tighter, swearing that he'd remember everything for her, even when she couldn't. He'd stayed through the darkest parts of her memory loss, through her therapy, her panic attacks, through the nights she screamed and didn't know why. But the moment she opened her eyes again, she called for someone else. Not him. Shukai. Why did you choose him over me? The question fell out of Wangabore's mouth before he could stop it. Shukai flinched. Songyun's gaze darted between them, overwhelmed, breath shallow. I waited, Wangabore said, his voice shaking. I waited for you to come back to me. I prayed you'd say my name first. I told Shaozan I'd fight for you even if it killed me. But all you remembered was him. I didn't choose, she began, but Wangabore cut her off. You did. The moment you looked at him like he was your beginning. Like I never even existed. Tears streamed down his face. Real, unguarded. For the first time in years, Wangabore let it all fall apart. Shukai's breaking point. Shukai stepped forward, fists clenched. She doesn't owe you anything. Ibor's eyes flared. Then why were you hiding those letters I wrote her? Tan Songyun blinked. Letters? Shukai looked startled. I wrote every week, Ibor whispered. For 6 months. And every single one was returned unopened. You told them not to give them to her, didn't you? Shukai looked down, guilt flashing across his face. I wanted to protect her, he began. Ibor didn't let him finish. You wanted to erase me. Tan Songyun was trembling now. Her voice barely audible. You wrote to me. Ibor turned to her, emotion flooding his face. Every letter had a piece of my heart in it. I never stopped loving you. Not for a second. The collapse. Tan Songyun suddenly gasped, clutching her head. A sharp pain shot through her skull, and her vision blurred. Flashes, disjointed images, hit her all at once. A rooftop. Rain. A voice in the dark. I won't let you forget me. Stay with me. You're safe. Her body collapsed backward. Shukai rushed to hold her up as Ibor moved too, panic taking over both men. Nurses rushed in. The monitor spiked. A team was called. They were both ushered out as the staff worked to stabilize her. And in the hallway, silence again. Only now it was heavier. The aftermath. Wangabore slumped against the wall, hands buried in his face. Shukai stood nearby, guilt written across every inch of his body. I thought I was protecting her, Shukai muttered, breaking the silence. She wasn't ready. She was in so much pain. You erased me, Ibor whispered back. You didn't let her choose. You chose for her. Neither of them spoke for a long time after that. They both loved the same girl. But only one had her heart. Or so they thought. Because inside the room, Tan Songyun opened her eyes again, and whispered one name. The lights above her flickered faintly as Tan Songyun blinked herself awake. The oxygen mask on her face felt cold, but not as cold as the stillness in the room. Her chest ached, not from pain, but from something deeper. A name floated to the edge of her lips. She whispered, barely audible. Ibor. Outside, Shukai froze. His back was still to the door, fists in his pockets, knuckles white from pressure. He didn't need to hear clearly. The syllables shattered whatever strength he was trying to gather. Wangabore hadn't heard it. But the nurse who stepped out of the room seconds later did. She asked for you, the nurse said quietly, eyes flicking toward Ibor. That sentence hit like a train. Ibor straightened slowly, unsure whether he'd imagined it. Me? She said your name, the nurse confirmed. You can go in, but one of you at a time. Shukai didn't move. He turned slightly, eyes still burning, but nodded once. Go? The air between them was thick, layered with years of unspoken rage, guilt, and heartbreak. But in this moment, something else took over, something that even rivalry couldn't touch. Love? Raw. Unrelenting. And painful. Inside the room. Tan Songyun looked up just as Ibor stepped inside. Her eyes were glassy, uncertain, but they locked onto him like muscle memory. Do I, she started, her voice hoarse. Do I really know you? He swallowed hard, taking one step closer. Then another. I don't care if you don't remember everything. I just want you to know I'm here. And I never left. I saw flashes, she whispered. A rooftop. Rain. Your voice. His lips parted. I used to be terrified of storms, she added slowly. But you made me feel safe. He nodded, eyes misted over. That was us. Her lips quivered. Why does it hurt so much? Because some memories aren't in your mind, Yibo said gently, moving closer. They are in your heart. She let out a small sob. Then why is Shukai the one I see when I wake up? He didn't flinch. He just sat beside her bed, leaned in, and whispered, because he never left either. But I never stopped loving you, even when you didn't remember I existed. A long silence stretched between them. Songyun reached out with a trembling hand. Yibo hesitated, then took it. That simple touch sent everything spiraling again. A flood of emotion hit her, and this time, she didn't push it away. He smiled through his tears. Even if you forget me again, I'll remind you every day. From the hallway, Shukai watched it all, his chest rising and falling, eyes locked on the woman he loved, holding the hand of the man she might never stop loving. And in that moment, no one knew who she'd choose. But the war for her heart had never been louder.